I am Jackson Cooper, an ordinary man living a life that seemed perfect. I have a happy family with a wife and 2 kids. I am a man who served in the military and now works as a security consultant for major companies. My life is stable. I go to work, come home, and spend time with my wife and kids. We live in a spacious house in the suburbs of Dallas, in a quiet neighborhood with lush, green trees and friendly neighbors. However, I will never forget the moment I realized that everything I thought was real was just a lie. That morning, I woke up with a familiar feeling, like every other day. Emily was still lying next to me, still keeping her habit of never waking up early. I smiled, looking at her sleeping soundly, and felt like nothing had changed. But even though she wasn't saying anything, I had started to feel like something was wrong. It had been a long time since Emily truly appeared in my life. She had changed, not in any obvious way, but in small details, actions that seemed insignificant, yet were easy to notice when you've been with someone for your whole life. Emily no longer smiled at me like before. She often turned her back when I spoke, her eyes always glued to her phone or computer. Our conversations had become shallow, fading away. I wondered if it was due to her stressful work or simply because I was no longer the person she loved. But what worried me the most were the nights she didn't come home on time. During those times, I tried not to doubt. She was busy with work, that's all. But one day, I started noticing undeniable signs. She came home later than usual, and then gave vague excuses. There's an urgent meeting, I had to stay late, or I got stuck in traffic. But I knew those weren't legitimate reasons. By this point, my unease began to gnaw at me. One day, after picking up the kids from school, I accidentally glanced at Emily's phone on the table where she had left it. I certainly hadn't intended to, but something inside me urged me to look. I opened her phone, intending to check messages from the kids, but then I saw a message from someone named Tyler. At first, I saw a few regular messages, but then I stopped when I read a rather special message. I miss you. You are my whole world, Emily. I can't imagine my life without you. It hit me like a slap to the face. I knew who Tyler was. He was an old friend, a former military comrade. We had been close, had faced hardships together in the army. I had always considered him a good friend, but now all I could see was betrayal and deceit. I could barely breathe. Everything started to swirl in my mind. How could I be deceived by someone I had loved for so many years? How could a close friend do this to me? Unbelievable. But I knew I had to face the truth. As soon as Emily walked into the room, I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. Emily, I called her name, my voice colder than ever. Is there something I should know? She looked at me, her face pale, then sighed. Jackson, I don't know where to start. This isn't your fault. I felt so lonely for so long. She hesitated, not looking directly at me. Tyler and we've gotten close over time. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you're no longer the person I need. I couldn't believe my ears. The woman I had lived with for 15 years, the mother of my children, could say these words. My heart felt shattered, but I didn't let my emotions overpower me. So you've been cheating with my friend Tyler? I asked, each word cold as ice. She fell silent, unable to offer an explanation. Her eyes welled with tears, but there were no actual tears. She just shook her head, as though searching for an explanation for a betrayal she herself couldn't explain. You know, Jackson, I've tried everything, but I couldn't find a connection with you anymore. Tyler is the only one who makes me feel alive. Those words were like a shockwave that left me breathless. Not only had she cheated, but she also thought I wasn't good enough to be her support. The pain, the emptiness, and the anger intertwined. I had spent my whole life building this family, but now It was all falling apart because of an affair. "So, what are you going to do?" I asked, my voice losing its calm. "Are we getting a divorce?" Emily looked at me, a faint, sorrowful smile on her face. "Jackson, I don't know. I just want everything to end." I couldn't listen to any more. Everything started to spin around me, and a decision was forming in my mind. It was time for me to do something to regain control. After that tense and heartbreaking conversation, I left the room feeling as if I had just been slapped across the face. The room suddenly became silent, not a sound except for the rapid beating of my heart. I walked down the stairs, each step heavy, as if every step was a battle with myself. I felt like I had been deceived, not only by Emily, but also by a close friend I had trusted. I had considered Tyler a brother, someone who had shared memories with me from a long time ago in the army, but now all I had was shock. The pain was indescribable. I no longer felt like myself, only the emptiness and anger. After walking away, for a while, I decided I had to face the truth. No more hesitation. I had to clear everything up. I knew she would go to work, but today I wouldn't let her slip out of my sight. I could see every gesture, every sly glance she gave to Tyler through text messages on her phone. Emily went out, and I followed her from a distance, feeling as though I was stepping into a dangerous game I didn't want to be part of, but couldn't stop. She drove to a cafe, a regular meeting spot for them. I stood from a distance, watching, feeling my anger rise within me. They met at that cafe as if it were just an ordinary encounter, but I knew this was no coincidence. There was only one reason a wife would secretly meet her lover in such a place. I stood there for a while, observing, trying not to let them notice me. It was the first time I not only felt betrayed, but also felt like a fool. I recalled the times I defended Emily, the times I ignored every sign to keep the family happy. Now everything seemed like a joke. My anger grew stronger, but I held it in. I decided not to let my emotions explode just yet. I needed to prepare. I wouldn't let her or Tyler get away with this. After gathering enough information, I knew I needed a clear plan. I didn't want my life further disrupted by a prolonged legal battle, but I knew that if I didn't act, I would let them continue to ruin everything. The lawyer I went to was Michael Davis, a man known for handling complex divorce cases. Michael looked at the evidence I brought and immediately began advising me on how to proceed with the divorce and protect my interests. "Jack, I understand how you feel," he said. "But remember, you're not just fighting for yourself, but for your kids. Make sure you hold on to custody and the house." I nodded, knowing that things had gone too far already. Emily didn't just betray me. She also made me lose faith in the people I trusted most. Tyler was part of my team. "I can't let them get away with this," I said. Michael smiled, looking at me with assurance. "You've done the right thing. We'll do everything to protect what you deserve." I decided I would not let Emily and Tyler get away with this easily. I had prepared everything: the evidence, the plan, and what I was going to say. I called Emily and asked her to come home so we could talk. Emily, with a soft voice and a hint of worry, agreed. When she walked into the house, there were no greetings or friendly gestures like before. She looked at me, her eyes avoiding mine as if she couldn't face the truth. "What do you want to say to me, Jackson?" she asked, her expression cold. "Don't pretend, Emily," I replied, my voice firm. "I know everything. I know about Tyler. I've been watching your meetings and I've seen everything." She stood silent, her face changing. "Jackson, you don't understand. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Hurt?" I scoffed, my anger flaring up.
You think betraying me with my friend is no big deal? You think you can hide this from me forever?" Emily began to cry, but there were no tears, just small sobs. "I'm sorry, Jackson. I don't know.
What to do?
I felt so lonely for so long. And Tyler, he understands me in a way you can't." The emptiness took over again. I didn't know what to say next. Her excuses only made me feel more deceived. "So you chose him over me, right?" I asked, my voice as
Cold as ice. "Jackson," she sighed, looking up at me, her eyes showing clear regret.
"I can't go back. Tyler and I have a relationship, and I feel like this is what's right." "Right?" I smirked. "Are you sure Tyler is the right choice? He's my friend, and now he's a traitor." The whole room was silent. Emily shook her head as
If she didn't want to face the reality, but I knew everything was already clear. Then I decided I wouldn't let everything end with just a simple confrontation. Not just because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to regain control of my life. Emily and Tyler couldn't just continue living their lives while I was the one being betrayed and discarded. I had to make a plan, prepare everything carefully, and make them pay for what they had done. Michael Davis had prepared a strong divorce strategy for me. "Jackson, you're not just trying to win this case. You also want to make sure that Emily can't use this situation to cause you or your family more pain. You need to protect your rights and custody. We'll make sure this case is foolproof." With Michael's words, I felt a little more reassured, but I couldn't just rely on a lawyer. I needed to make Emily and Tyler understand that I wasn't someone who could easily forgive. They had hurt me too deeply, and I didn't want to give them the chance to slip away from responsibility. After leaving the lawyer's office, I decided to make everything clear and transparent. I started collecting more solid evidence of Emily and Tyler's relationship. I had secretly followed their meeting at the cafe yesterday, but I needed more. I installed a recording device in Emily's phone, hoping to catch conversations that would leave traces. When Emily left the house in the morning, I decided to follow her again. I needed to confirm all my suspicions, not because I wanted to hear them talk, but because I needed to be sure that nothing would be denied later on. Emily drove to Tyler's house, and as she stepped out of the car, I hid at a safe distance, watching them from afar. They met at the door, and the intimate hug they exchanged hit me like a punch in the face. I thought I had prepared myself for this, but the pain was still unavoidable. That was the moment I knew what I had to do to end it all. I decided I would confront Emily and Tyler directly again, but this time not just to question them, but to make them understand that I am not the kind of person who will let them get away with this without consequences. I had everything prepared. I had all the evidence, the recordings, the messages, and the calls. That evening I called Emily and told her to come home. This time I didn't want to hear any excuses. I wanted them to face the truth. When Emily walked into the house, she no longer had the cold, indifferent look from before. She knew I knew everything, and it made her feel scared. "Jackson, I don't know what to say anymore," Emily began, but I cut her off. "No need to say anything, Emily," I replied, my voice cold. "I don't need to hear your cheap excuses anymore. You and Tyler think you can sneak behind my back and live a happy life without paying the price." I walked up to her, pulling out a thick file full of messages, calls, and even recordings from their meeting the other day. I waved the file in front of her. "This is everything you and Tyler have done. I've seen it all, and I will not allow you to keep pretending like nothing happened." Emily stood frozen, speechless. She just stared at the evidence I presented. Her eyes were wide with panic, but I didn't give her a chance to justify herself. "So you betrayed me, not just with Tyler, but with me, the one who spent his whole life building this family."
You made me trust a long lie, and Tyler, the friend I considered family, he betrayed me this way too. Tyler, sitting quietly now, didn't say a word. He knew everything had spiraled out of his control.
I won't let you get away with this easily, I continued. Everything will face the truth. If you think I'll let you keep living your life without paying for your actions, you're wrong. This confrontation wasn't just a warning to Emily and Tyler, but also a strong message that I am not a man who can easily be taken advantage of. Not because I want to cause them pain, but because I want them to understand that every betrayal has consequences. I sat down, staring at them, saying, "You've hurt me, and I won't let you walk away without facing responsibility for what you've done." I had carefully planned and prepared for this confrontation, but now, facing the betrayal, I realized that I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting for my honor, for my family, and for everything I had trusted in my life. Emily and Tyler couldn't escape responsibility, and I wouldn't let them cover up their actions. The next day, I decided I would make everything clearer than ever before. I didn't just need apologies or simple confessions. I needed them to take responsibility, and I would make everyone in our lives understand exactly what had happened. The next confrontation wasn't just a simple talk behind closed doors. I asked Emily and Tyler to come to my house in the evening, and this time I wouldn't allow anyone to escape the conversation I had long planned. I had sent them a clear message that if they wanted to continue this relationship without interference, they would have to face consequences they couldn't imagine. Emily arrived first, walking into the living room with a worried expression. She sat down, her eyes red, no longer the calm person I had once known. "Jackson," she began, but I didn't let her finish. "No more, Emily. What else is there to say? Everything is clear now," I interrupted, my eyes sharp as knives. I looked directly at her and said, "You think I didn't know everything you and Tyler have done?" "I know it all." Emily remained silent, unable to defend herself. The tears in her eyes couldn't hide the truth, but that didn't ease my heart. Instead, my
Anger and disappointment only grew. I didn't need pity, I needed justice.
Tyler walked in, holding a cup of coffee, his face expressionless, as if nothing important was happening. But I couldn't help but notice the challenging look in his eyes. He thought everything would go by easily like this. I had been preparing for this confrontation for a long time, and I couldn't let him slip away with cheap excuses. I stood up and pointed at Tyler, my eyes blazing. "Tyler, who do you think you are? A friend? A brother?" I sneered, each word deliberate. "You're a traitor, and this will never be forgiven." He said nothing, standing there with a blank expression. Emily sat beside him, her hands clenched, her face a little anxious, but not daring to speak. She knew I wasn't doing this out of a momentary fit of rage, but because I had been patient for too long. "Jackson," Emily spoke softly, "I didn't think about the consequences."
"I'm really sorry." "Sorry?" I spat out each word. "You've broken our family. You made me believe a lie for so many years. And Tyler," I turned to look at him, "you're the friend I trusted the most, and yet you betrayed me after everything we've been through."
This confrontation wasn't just about releasing my anger. Every word I said was a powerful threat, not just to Emily and Tyler, but also to myself. I couldn't just stand by and watch them continue their irresponsible lives. This wasn't going to
end easily. "Is this what you wanted? A life without me, without respect?" I said, filled with determination.
"If you think I'll let you walk away without consequences, you're wrong. I will make everything clear. I won't let you continue on without taking responsibility." I pulled out my phone and opened a video I had prepared. This video recorded Tyler And Emily, their intimate whispers, their secretive hugs, all of it was in my hands. I played the video and showed it to them. They stared at the screen, their expressions quickly changing from shock to fear. "This is proof," I said coldly, "and I won't stop here. I'll share everything with friends,
Family, and anyone involved. They need to know what you've done." Emily looked at me with panic in her eyes. "Jackson, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong, but I can't undo it. Whatever you want, I'll do." "You can't undo it," I repeated, "because it's too late now." I turned to Tyler. "And you, Tyler, you will be held accountable for your actions. You've destroyed a relationship not just between me and her, but between two men who were once close friends."
Tyler started to step back, but I didn't give him the chance. "You won't get away with this. You can try to justify it, but in the end, you're still a traitor." The confrontation ended in silence, but I knew everything had changed. Emily and Tyler would not easily walk through my life like that again. With every step I take, I would make them feel the consequences. I had decided not just to let go, but to fight until the end. With what I had done today, I not only regained control of my life, but I also sent them a message that betrayal would never go unpunished, and this was just the beginning. That confrontation in the living room wasn't just the end of a broken relationship, but also the beginning of a revenge plan I had quietly prepared for a long time. I didn't just want to get back what I had lost. I wanted Emily and Tyler to understand that every betrayal has a price. The next day, I began to act. I couldn't let everything end simply with a divorce and a pile of negative emotions. I needed to make life harder for Emily and Tyler. They couldn't continue walking through life in their self-satisfaction without realizing the consequences of what they had done. The first thing I did was inform my friends and family about Emily's betrayal. I had kept this secret for too long, and it was time to free myself from that burden. The close friends we had shared, the gatherings, the memories, now they would be evidence of Emily and Tyler's deceit. I started by sending a group message to my closest friends, the ones who had been to my family's important events. I didn't send the message to stir conflict or cause chaos, but to make them understand the situation. I didn't want anyone from that group attending Emily and Tyler's wedding, not just because of the betrayal, but because I didn't want them to continue living in the embrace of people who were untrustworthy. "Hey everyone, I don't know how to express what I'm feeling right now. Emily and Tyler have betrayed me, and I feel like I've been living in a lie for so many years.
You are the people I care about most, and I want you to know the truth. I don't need you to take sides. I just need you to understand that I can't continue seeing you the same way anymore. And about Emily and Tyler's wedding, you know me." That message didn't just make people understand why I had pulled back, but also made them feel the pain I was going through. I didn't expect everyone to take my side, but I expected them to see the truth. Next, I shifted focus to informing Tyler. I decided that I wouldn't allow him to avoid responsibility. If I didn't act, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So I made a point to approach him once again, this time for an official meeting. I called him, asking him to meet me at a cafe. When he arrived, I didn't hold anything back. "Tyler," I said, my voice cold and clear, "you're a traitor. You might think everything will pass, but I won't let you live comfortably with what you've done. You can act like a good guy in front of Emily, but you're a liar, and I'm going to make you pay for it." He looked at me somewhat scared, but still trying to maintain his confidence. I didn't think things would go this far. I was just following my emotions. "Emotions?" I sneered. "You think emotions can justify betraying a friend? You've broken the trust I had in you, and now you have to face the consequences."
I started creating a new life for myself, no longer burdened by the memories of a broken family. I found a small house in the suburbs near the kids. I didn't want to miss time with them, and this was my chance to start over. This house wasn't big, but it was a new space without the shadow of betrayal, without the marks of the past. But I didn't just want to recreate my personal life. I decided I would make Emily and Tyler understand that they couldn't continue like this. I began gathering information about every relationship Tyler had, about the people he had deceived in the past. I wasn't going to stop at making him and Emily pay with words. I was going to make them understand that their actions couldn't be easily forgiven. Finally, I had the final blow. I sent Emily and Tyler a letter outlining everything they had done and everything I knew. I didn't send this letter to resolve the issue, but simply to make them realize what they had done to me. The next day, when I stood in front of my new house, looking out at the small garden where I would begin anew, I felt a sense of relief. Everything had changed. I was no longer the man betrayed in the shadows. I was the one rising from my pain, and I would never go back to what made me feel weak. Life went on, but I wouldn't let the betrayers continue to control my life. And one thing was for sure, Emily and Tyler could continue living their lives, but in a world full of lies and betrayal. As for me, I would live mine with the truth, with the people who truly love me, and I would never go back.